So, your new album is generous enough to include on its liner notes tunings for all the songs on it.
Yeah.
And most of them are in DADGAD, it seems.
Yeah, I think all but two. 8 out of 10 are in DADGAD, and the other 2 are in, very close neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When did you what is it about DADGAD that lends itself to these songs that you love to play?
Well, DADGAD is a folk guitar tuning, They say it was invented by Davy Graham after his travels in Africa and trying to recreate Moroccan modal music on the guitar. And that fed down through the next generation of players, Bert Jansch and John Remborn, and then everything that came after that. But that was my way in, hearing John and Bert for the first time. And it just seemed that they could do something very focused that also sounded very widescreen. And I knew enough about guitar because I was like 16, 17, and I'd been playing long enough that I could perceive that this was something different. So then I started trying to transcribe it, and I just couldn't. They were playing things like, and you're trying to do that in standard, and it doesn't work. So you start detuning, and then I was playing in DADGAD before I really knew what DADGAD was. And then as soon as I figured that out, that was it for me. I started playing in that all the time.
How long have you been playing before you discovered that?
About 6 years, 5-6 years.
How do you wrap your head around the different tuning? Are you thinking in terms of forms, or are you thinking about the chords themselves?
I'm thinking in shapes, and if I think of it for more than a minute, then I can go, okay, so that's a G6, it's a G major 7, there's a straight G, but then that sort of takes the fun out of it a little, because I studied theory and harmony and in standard tuning, and that changed the way I saw the fretboard. It offered me the roadmap rather than just flailing around. I actually knew where I was going, but then to a certain degree that lessened the excitement, and ever since then, whilst theory is incredibly useful, I also try to sometimes just move instinctively, and I find that DADGAD is especially useful for that, because you can you can just open up, and it's because there's these drone notes, it immediately feels, I don't know how to describe it other than widescreen, and it encourages you not to think too hard about where you are and just to move with it, and that's major, and then you can go minor, and that just changes you can move into minor modes very quickly. It changes the sound of the whole thing. I should stop playing while I'm talking, because I'm not very good at doing both at the same time. I think DADGAD for me is very useful for just moving freely on the guitar,
So when you're speaking about how the sound changes, is when you're learning like these folk songs that are on Hummingbird.
Yeah.
Are you hearing them in DADGAD originally and saying like, okay, this is that sound this is why I'm going to keep doing this in DADGAD?
Yeah.
Or are these songs that you learned in standard tuning and then figured out how to play in DADGAD?
I've always played folk songs in DADGAD, unless they're an open G, usually. And then so like Willie Moore on the record is a open G, but then the B is down to a G, so it's droney, like DADGAD, So it's just I'm always looking for ways to, I suppose, move more into that wheelhouse where things are a little more where the sound is a little broader coming out of there. Yeah, I think I've always played traditionals in DADGAD, pretty much. It just serves the songs so well,
On the flip side of that, your own material that ends up getting recorded in DADGAD, are those written in DADGAD or?
Yeah, they are actually. Yeah, I think the only one that wasn't, maybe Town to Town, I recorded from Great Lakes. I think I recorded that in drop D with a slide part, but then I came to doing it live, and I realised I had to tune the guitar differently if I was going to play all those parts. So then that ended up in open D, where the G is just down to an F sharp. Yeah, especially in performance, if it's just you on your own, I just find I have to tune my guitar according to the needs of the song. If it needs if I need to be able to use a slide or hit the guitar whilst leaving strings open, I need an open tuning, and usually DADGAD is where I'll go. And you can put a capo on it as well. So it's in F, or it's in G. It's very clever.
Any tips for people who are just starting to learn how to play in DADGAD?
Yeah, get stuck in. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you can't really. You can make any shape down there messing around and it will sound good. But learn your D major scale, and then your minor, and then add tenths. But you don't even need, if you don't have any theory, don't worry about it. Just try throwing in other notes higher up the neck, and you're going to find most of the intervals that you come across are really good, apart from that one, because you've just got a one step between these two strings, G and A, so you have to be careful with that one. That's nice, but then that's very you got to use that one judiciously. But stuff like that is great. The other great thing about that is that because these are close together, you can play cluster chords, play all these notes that are really close together without having to to stretch your hand like Pat Metheny style across 35 frets.
So you're putting together DADGAD's greatest hits playlist for us on Spotify. Can you just name maybe 2 or 3 of your favorite DADGAD songs?
Oh man, I think anything from Bert and John by Bert Jansch and John Rimborn, because that's pretty much all in DADGAD. And there's a great Kelly Joe Phelps song called Without the Light that sounds to me like it's in DADGAD, but maybe it's in open D. But I've played it in DADGAD. I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing. And I think a lot of his stuff is in DADGAD too. I don't know if Richard Thompson plays it in DADGAD, but Beeswing, which I assume that's in, I play in DADGAD there, and that to me that's one of the best songs ever written, and DADGAD really lends itself well to that. But you never kind of know what people have recorded it in unless they tell you, because great guitarists like Richard Thompson can just do it in any tuning and make it work. To my ear, it's DADGAD, but that's kind of what I like about the tuning. It suits my way of interpreting songs. It might not suit everyone, so I know a lot of guys who really like open G for that, and then capoing it so it's open A, or I think I didn't really answer your question then, Brian.
You got a couple of
sort of
songs in there, yeah.
Let me think of another one. Another great song in DADGAD, I think. Going to California by Led Zeppelin. I'm pretty sure that's in DADGAD. Someone's going to write in now and tell me that it's in drop D. Maybe it is. I play it in DADGAD.
Probably E flat gad or whatever.
Yeah, right. E flat gad. Yeah.
What would E flat, B flat,
Oh, don't even try and say it, yeah.
I guess quickly you just mentioned like how you're not sure if some songs are DADGAD, but not sure about others. What is the telltale thing to listen for? Say, that's DADGAD.
The octaves, those 3 Ds, D, 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 and then the intervals, A, A. If there's a lot of, if you're hearing drones on the tonic and the fifth, on the guitar, to me that sounds like it's in DADGAD. The 7th is always a nice move because there's the G string is always ringing. A lot of guys do it like that. You know that song Nobody's Fault But My Own by Beck? I think that's in DADGAD too. Again, someone's going to write and say, actually no, it's in DAD or DADGAD. But and you can hear all the D's ringing all the time. Yeah, anything that sort of, a lot of the time, anything that sounds vaguely Eastern and mystical, it sounds that way because it's in DADGAD. And we got Davy Graham to thank for that.